Hi, I'm Ed Shockey for Broadcasting Pioneers, and welcome to another edition of Pioneers in Broadcasting. Today we have the pleasure of visiting with Florence Hanford, one of the true pioneers in broadcasting here in the Philadelphia area. And I remember, now I was pretty young, but I remember seeing Florence's shows on Channel 3, the show called Television Kitchen, which was probably the first cooking show on television. And Florence, it's a pleasure to be with you here today.
Thank you. It's nice
to meet you. Thank you for inviting us. We really want to know about these early days of television. You were you were a home economics expert for the Philadelphia Electric Company, right? Mm-hmm. That was your job and you had done that for some time before this whole television thing?
Well, I was there for a short time before I gave public demonstrations and things like that, you know. And then when we got on television, I went on television.
Mm-hmm. You were demonstrating the ranges and stoves and so on and refrigerators to sell the equipment to push electricity and electric appliances, I guess. Mm-hmm. Well, whose idea was it to go on this newfangled television machine instrument?
Well, I had a very nice boss. It was a woman boss, and she really did a lot about ready kilowatt, you know, the figure that we had.
Okay.
And then she really liked to promote everything. And she thought because there wasn't any afternoon television shows, there was only baseball, you know, there was no shows for women, she wanted to start television.
Now, there really weren't very many television sets around, right?
No, and they were real small, 5 inches or something.
1947 was really the beginning.
That's right.
So you sort of had to take a leap of faith there that, well, I'll go on TV and maybe somebody will buy the televisions and watch me. I mean, was that it?
Well, yes, and it was kind of strange because not very many people had television.
Right.
And mostly they were in bar rooms, you know.
Oh.
And we had a parade down Broad Street, and all the fellas came out and yelled, "Hi, Florence! Hi, Florence!" They were probably the only ones that knew me, you know.
Did you have a television?
We got one right after I got on, I think.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, you couldn't watch yourself because there wasn't any videotape, so you were always live at
Yeah, that's right.
In those days, yeah. But did you kind of feel like a celebrity as soon as this all started to happen? I mean, you know.
No, I don't think so.
No. Now you continued to work for the electric company in addition to, as well as doing the TV. Is that right?
At first, I did also public demonstrations and also the television, but that got to be too much. So then we went over to the old television.
Right. Now, this show that you did was basically a weekly show, but people today would probably find it hard to believe that it aired only on Wednesdays. Wednesday afternoon, and it had different times, 2:30 or 3 o'clock, or 1:25 to 1:55, or crazy times. I mean, they were just like randomly assigned times. They would just. How did the scheduling work? Do you have any idea of how?
Well, the station really decided when we should go on.
Uh-huh. And what else was on around you before and after you?
Baseball.
Oh, well, how about in the winter?
Well, when in the winter, I think we started on our show, the Television Kitchen. Mm-hmm. The other one was called Television Matinee, and that had 20 minutes of food, and 20 minutes of guest time, and 20 minutes of something else. And we auditioned for the part because they thought first they wanted a model. Because they wanted somebody that, you know, looked like a model. And then they decided, they decided that they wanted somebody that knew how to cook, because they'd have to teach the models how to cook and everything else, you know.
Right.
So then they decided we would do it. And of course, we knew nothing about television. The fellas that worked the cameras, they didn't know anything either, because it was all new.
Wasn't Peter Boyle one of the cameramen on your show? Yeah, that's pretty funny, because I remember I was a kid and I used to watch his father, Pete Boyle, and he showed the Little Rascals films and so on. He was one of the early children's television stars.
I knew Pete.
You did, on Channel 3.
And his wife. Yeah. They'd been out here.
He seemed like a very nice man on TV.
Oh, he was. He was a nice man. Very nice man.
Were you at all friendly with some of the other children's television stars on the other stations? Was there a kind of camaraderie, or was there a competition between the stations?
Well, I knew Sally Starr,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know whether you remember, there used to be a show called The Girl Next Door.
No.
And I knew her, and I knew some of the people, but...
I remember Ernie Kovacs, wasn't he at the station also around that time?
Yeah, he was right on the same floor as we were, but he was in a different studio.
Uh-huh.
And the company would put in new appliances every once in a while and do the kitchen over every once in a while.
Well, you had state-of-the-art equipment. You worked for the electric company,
That's
right?
right.
You
That's
had all
right.
the newest,
That's right.
the newest stuff. Now, I mean, I don't remember, but microwave wasn't around then, right? There was,
No,
that came in
microwave came in just about when I came off of television.
Okay. Now, you did it for about 20 years.
22.
22 years. You started at well, it was WPTZ.
I started
right?
in 1947, and I retired in 69.
And at that time, you were at WFIL TV by then, right?
Well, the last 5 years we went to WFIL because they weren't going to have color.
Yeah, that's another weird story. That NBC, when they left to go to Cleveland, took their color cameras with them. And are you telling me that Westinghouse didn't have couldn't get them, or didn't have them, or didn't want to?
They didn't have them, and they also had a talk show.
Mike Douglas.
Yeah, Mike Douglas.
Right.
And he took our time.
Oh, the nerve.
So then we went to at WFIL.
And you did it at noon there. You were on at noon?
I don't remember what exact time, but it was something like that.
And it was still live?
Yes, in color.
Yeah. And was it once a week there also, or is it once a week? Yeah. There was never an effort to do it like you didn't want to do it every day. I mean, once a week was enough. You did a lot of preparation for this very short once a week program, didn't you?
Yes.
You had rehearsals?
Well, we had one live rehearsal. I mean, with the stopwatch, so that we wouldn't go over.
Right.
And we always tested all the food. And that was another thing that we would try,
I understand the crew enjoyed eating all the food.
We had a show one time, and a man came in, and they wouldn't let anybody else eat anything, but they were on the crew, they did, but nobody could come in. And this man came in, and he was taking food and all, and I said to the boys, "Do you know him?" And they said, "No, we don't know him." And I said, "I don't know him. Does he work here?" They said, "No." So I went up to him and I said, "Do you work here?" He said, "No. I was walking by and the food looked so good I thought I'd come in and eat it."
Well, that's a testament to your cooking skills. I mean, did you ever think of like opening a restaurant or something?
No. I don't like commercial cooking. I like family cooking.
Home cooking. Yeah. Now, obviously, styles of cooking have changed over the years. I mean, yours was a kind of a basic all-American home style cooking. Yeah. Did you enjoy cooking for yourself and your husband at the home?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you made some great meals.
Well, I enjoyed it then, and I like to cook, and now I don't do as much, because I'm by myself, and it's hard to do a lot of things with a broken leg,
Oh, yeah. When you got off of TV, at 69, I guess, right? Did you continue, what did you do after that? Did you continue working with the electric company, or what?
No, I retired, and they kind of thought it would be better if I retired because they were going to take the show off. And so I retired early, and I did a little bit of work on the side. I did some teaching of how to work on television for Camel Soup. And,
Really?
And you remember Steakums?
Yes, sure.
Well, they were going
I
to
think they're still around.
Are they?
I think so.
But not the same. Well, the people aren't out here now.
Right. But
And he wanted to make a cookbook. And so I started. They had a home economist. But I started over there testing recipes for a cookbook. And I don't know, they went out of business. So they didn't finish the book.
I see. Well, the early days of television are so fascinating, especially to, I guess, younger generations of people, because, I mean, I have a 16-year-old daughter. She takes all of this for granted. She can't imagine a day when there wasn't any television. She doesn't remember when there weren't CDs and microwaves and cell phones and the internet. I mean, so much has changed over the years. And you were pioneering in an area that was just so startlingly new. The idea of a machine showing pictures in your house had to be just so revolutionary, you know.
Well, the cakes were really what they seemed
Cakes.
to like. And now, of course, they only use mixes and stuff like that.
Well, that's true.
They don't like to start from scratch.
Right.
We had a lady that was in her 90s, and she used to write to me all the time, and she lived with her son, and she said that she went over to New York and they bought a cake. They brought the cake in, and she liked the cake, so she asked them, and you've heard this story, that they said it was $2.50, and it was not $2.50. It was $250 for the recipe. And so she bought the recipe, and she sold it to her club, and for $15 a piece or something like that. And she made enough money for it to pay for the $250, you know. And but I always test the recipes, even when they sent them in, you know.
Sure.
And after I tested it and we were going to put it on television, she had died. I felt very sorry about that.
Yeah.
But I talked to her son, and he said a lot of people were going to listen to it, so we sent him a lot of the recipe sheets, you know, for that day.
Wow. I saw there was a woman on TV the other week who just won $1 million in, I think, a Pillsbury recipe contest. I mean, you know, for that kind of thing. Did you ever have a contest like that for recipes, or you just supplied your own?
I supplied my own, but we'd have, every once in a while, somebody'd have a cake show or something like that, and they'd ask us to judge, and we would judge it, you know.
Well, you must have been a very popular lady around the TV stations in those days, with making all this great food every day.
I know, they loved to cook.
And I guess it was fun. It was a fun time for you.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I felt very lonesome when I left. I never liked being retired because there's no challenge, you know. You just do what you want to do, you know. But
well, I'm sure you were an inspiration to a lot of people in those years, and I'm glad it was fun for you too.
I liked it. I mean, the ladies in it were very nice. They were all
great.
very nice.
Florence, it's a pleasure. You are delightful.
Thank you.
Really a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for sharing your experiences with us today.
Well, I'm glad you came.
Our
Thank you
pleasure.
for coming.
Thank you. Ed Shockey, another edition of Pioneers in Broadcasting for the Broadcast Pioneers website. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, now that takes, what we do is we do a one-piece interview, but I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and I might use some of these excerpts.
Okay.
I understand the lights were hot back then.
The lights were so hot that by the time you got finished, you were full of perspiration, and the perspiration would fall in the oven. And they'd say, on the door, you know, when you open the door, and they say, oh, don't let them know you're sweating. You just can't wipe it off or anything. You just let it fall. And we used mashed potatoes for ice cream. We put cocoa in it to make chocolate ice cream. And we used gelatin 7 times as strong. The first time we made a gelatin salad, before the director could get in, it was on the floor, you know, melted. And we used that, and we used cream cheese instead of whipped cream. And we had to find out about this because nobody was on television then, you know. We had no one that we could ask, you know, or anything, so we just had to do it ourselves. And it was very, very hot. And most of the time the people looked at the lights instead of not looking at the lights, you know, looking down further. It was, and then they'd really be hot. And one time we were doing a show and one of the bulbs broke. It made an awful noise, but we kept right on going. You know, we didn't do anything about it. We just let it go. But I really enjoyed television. I think at that time there were a lot of women that didn't like to do that kind of thing. We had one girl that didn't like it. She was always so nervous that she couldn't do anything about it, you know. She just couldn't do it, so I would have to take her show, you know. And but I didn't get nervous, and I liked it very much. I liked it. I liked the women.
Tell us something about some of the people on Channel 3, like Ernie Kovacs and Pete Boyle.
Well, Sally Starr, and there was a lot of the directors and things like that I knew, because I didn't really stay in the studio too long, because we'd pack and take the stuff there from the station, from my office, and then we'd take it back, and by the time we got that all finished, why, we didn't sit around and talk, you know. But Ernie Kovacs was on, and his wife, and he was a little fellow that used to have a show. It looked a little bit like a chipmunk, and he talked about the show. But that was for the kids. You remember? I don't remember what his name was right now, but he did a nice show.
Lee Dexter? Oh.
George Skinner. Was it George Skinner?
No, I think you're right, Dexter.
Lee Dexter.
Lee Dexter with Bertie the Bunyip.
Huh?
Bertie the Bunyip?
Yeah.
Right.
He was on. And we had a girl came in that was crippled, and I forget her name too, but she did a show, and she was in a wheelchair. I think she'd gotten shot, and she had a whole lot of people with her, but she was nice. And then once in a while we'd get somebody like Crawford was there one time, and the one with a great big smile. She played Mame. I forget her name, but she was very nice.
Angela Lansbury? Or
No.
Mame? Oh, who's...
And the funny thing about it was that when she came, she wanted to go over to the restaurant across the street, and she had the first slacks on, and they wouldn't let her in. They wouldn't let her go to the restaurant because she had slacks on.
You did over 1,000 shows.
2006.
Yeah, it's 1,006?
Mm-hmm.
What was your favorite recipe?
Well, I like the sour cream pound cake with fresh strawberry frosting. That's my pet. I like that.
How did you make it?
Well, you made it like you make a cake. You know, you cream the shortening and all that, and then you use sour cream in it instead of just milk, you know, or anything like that. And then you had the fresh strawberry frosting. And a lot of people make it for me now and give it to me for my birthday and all, which is nice, you know. We have a young, you know, they took the show and put it in the archives in New York. Our show's been in the archives in New York for a couple of years now. And he has one of the fellows that works there is very young, and he has started in the front of my book and gone all through all the recipes and made all the meals. And he made me a cake too. And the people are really wonderful. I mean, they're friendly and nice, you know, and they're really wonderful. So I miss them, but I get letters really now. Can you imagine? After all these years, I get letters from some of my old fans. And they see me and they say, you know, I think I know you, you know. And then I say, well, you probably know me. Oh, that's right. My daughter used to sit and watch you while you were the babysitter. And they used to call me Florence the cook. And I didn't miss a show. I did all the shows. I mean, I didn't have anyone do them for me or anything. I did them all myself.
Did you ever take vacation? You just... No,
I never took Monday off, which was our rehearsal day, and Wednesday was our show. So we would go. Sometimes we'd go on a vacation from Thursday and Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
But you did a show every week for all those years.
Mm-hmm. Never repeated. Published 2 cookbooks, and but I liked it. You know, you can tell when somebody likes it. I mean, you can tell when they're, And of course, when you're sick or anything else, you still have to go on, you know.
Right.
And I don't think many people feel that way about people that are on television now. They don't feel that, suppose this person's sick, or I lost my father and I had to go on to do a show, you know. And they don't think about that. It's not easy when you have to do it every week, you know. And the weather was hard sometime to get in from out here to Philadelphia, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I took the train. I drove to the station and took the train, and it was just fun. I liked it.
Supposedly you never burned anything on the air.
No.
What about off the air?
Oh no, not too much. But the funny part of it is, one day I was making something, and I put it in the oven, and I said, "This will take a while, and it won't be finished when we get finish the show." So I went over to the oven, and somebody had turned the oven off. And I took it out, and I said, "Oh, it's not done yet." But I have one that was in the back that I could show you. You know. But they liked it if something. That's what's good about a live show. That things do go wrong, but if you can fix them, then they know they can fix them too, you know. And that's what I like about a live show. I only had 2 tapes, and the fella in the at the archives made those into tapes, you know, and all. Because at that time when I started, they didn't have anything like that. I mean, they didn't take tapes or anything. The only thing they could take would be a movie, because they didn't have those then, you know.
Right, a kinescope.
Yeah,
Right.
And it was fun to start not knowing what you were going to do, you know, until you really tried it. It was really fun. I liked it. And the people were wonderful. I really liked all the people, all my fans and all. And they write to me every once in a while and ask for a recipe. It's funny after all these years, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, not really. People remember. I mean, Channel 3 still get requests every week for Bertie the Bunyip pictures.
Oh, do they?
They sure do. They sure do.
Oh, my word. It's nice.
When you did it out of 1619 Walnut Street. The first ones, did they come out of the architect
No, we
building?
started at the architect's building. And then we went to Walnut Street. And then finally we went to the new building on where it is now, you know. And I knew Larry Ferrari, and we used to go, my husband and I used to go see him when he'd go have a concert or something like that, you know. And he was a nice guy too, you know. And I really miss it, to tell you the truth. But I'm too old now. I can't even do all of the stuff that I would want to do now. But I do most of my own cooking because I live here by myself, and I have a couple over in the apartment, but they don't do my cooking or anything. I do my own cooking. And I like that. I'm not hard to satisfy, but you all have a way of doing it yourself, and you know, you feel better, you feel more at home when you do it by yourself. It seems to taste better too, you know. But it's a wonderful industry, that television.
One last question is, how do you see television from the beginning to now? What changes do you see?
Well, I don't usually watch food shows now because I'm kind of too critical, I think. So I don't usually watch them, so I don't honestly know too much about them. But when we first started, we went over to New York to watch Jim Bird, you know, and Beard, I mean, his name is. And all they did then was chop a pepper and chop an onion. They didn't do anything but that. And I think in some of the shows that I've caught that I've gone through, they do a lot of that. Well, who wants to know how to chop an onion and chop a pepper? You know, I think it's better to have something to show that's a food and all at the end, you know. But I enjoyed it. I really liked it. And I think they can tell when you do that too, when you like it, you know. But it was interesting. And of course, I knew nothing about television because nobody else did either. The cameramen had to learn, and we had to learn, you know. They all had to learn. And it was interesting, very interesting.
Do you watch much TV at all now? I mean, do you see?
Well,
other
I
types of-
watch some the news and stuff like that mostly. I think I was in a nursing home for a while when I broke my hip, and one gal loved food shows. She had food shows on all day long. She was my roommate, and I got sick and tired of it. Honest, I did so much of it, you know.
Well, now look with the cable and everything. There's Food Network. There's
I know.
There's all these different networks and channels and
I know.
different types of programming. And think about how television. When you started, Channel 3 was the only station on the air in Philadelphia, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now look at how many hundreds of channels.
I know.
It's such a different world.
I know.
Yeah.
But still, I don't think the people cook meals as much as they used
Mhm.
to. I think they get something frozen,
Sure.
or buy these cakes or pies or something like that.
Right.
Pie crust is already made and all that stuff. And I don't think the young people like to cook too
Right.
much.
Well, that's why McDonald's is the largest seller of food in the country, I guess.
And that's why the people are the fattest, I guess.
That's right. Well, that's an interesting point. Did you, when you talked about well-balanced meals, did you have this was very early on, but was there an awareness of fat and calories and balancing the different food groups? And did you think about that in your recipes?
Mm-hmm. And most of the young people then liked it because they didn't know how to balance their meals.
Mm-hmm.
And now they don't care. But I tried not to have anything that they wouldn't have in their kitchen and then have to go out and buy all this stuff, you know, for it. And they really were only home meals, but they were very unusual meals. I mean, we tried everything,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it was fun.
And you never repeated a recipe, you said, but
No.
what if somebody missed your recipe? They could get a copy of it?
Oh
or?
yes, we had
Okay.
we sent out recipe sheets. Our cookie show, well, we had 15,000 requests, and we were only local, you know. And every year the cookie show brought in a lot of
Yeah.
recipes.
How about your turkey show for Thanksgiving?
Yeah,
Did you-
we'd have that, and they were.
Yeah. Did you think of a different way to do the turkey every year?
Well, the
repeat-
stuffing, we'd change the stuffing all the time,
Okay.
you know. And sometime we'd have a turkey breast, and sometime we'd have a small turkey,
Mhm.
and sometime we'd have a large turkey, you know. And we tried different glazes and stuff like that, you know. So that was easy
Mhm.
and good. And they really loved that turkey after it was all finished, you know.
I'm sure.
And
I can taste it now. I just
you wouldn't
think
want
it-
to waste all that food. It was good for the fellas to eat it, you know,
sure.
because you'd only waste it, and you didn't want to do that,
Sure.
you know. But it was really fun.
Thank you.
That was wonderful.